Hello and welcome to My Retired Life. Today we're going to be talking about stress. Yeah, stress is everywhere, and I've got about the seven top major stresses that affect retirees. And we're going to start with number one. Good place to start. The very first one is finances. Finances are stressful for any senior. Especially lower income or fixed income seniors. And we're going to give you top 5 reasons or how to control that stress in the financial aspect. Check your budget often. Review it every 3 or 4 months. Make sure you're on track. Make sure you're not overspending. Make sure you're not racking up debt. Create an emergency fund. If you can, if you haven't already, create an emergency fund. You never know when something will go wrong. Maybe your hot water tank will burst, or maybe there's a leak in the roof, or roof, as the Americans say. Maybe that you need a new car. If you can do anything to avoid going into debt, do it. And keep that emergency fund topped up. Consult a financial advisor. If you haven't and you're not an expert in finances, consult one. Go to a bank. Generally, they don't charge too much in managing fees, whereas you go to private investors, sometimes their managing fees are a certain percentage. They cost a little bit more, but if you go to a bank, I don't think their managing fees are as much, if at all. Have a passive income stream. When I was working, I used to do photography, and I would sell stock photography. I'd submit it to a site, and if they liked it, somebody would buy the picture, and you got a kickback of a percentage of what you sold. So let's say it sold for $10. The stock agency basically took $2.50. So you made $7.50, and you just submitted it and just left it there. It's not even in the picture anymore. Downsize if possible. If you've got a big 3,000 square foot house and there's just you and your wife left, and the kids have moved out and no chance of them moving back, then maybe downsize to a smaller condo. Second stress is health. Yeah, between the first one and the second one, they're both very important. And if you go to the last one, it might surprise you how important and how many people are affected on the 7th one in this series. So the way to take care of your health better and to alleviate that stress, the very first thing to do, go to a doctor, get it checked out. Get yourself checked out yearly. Get the blood work, get whatever you need, and whatever the doctor tells you, do it. It will help your health. The next step, and I'm going through this right now, exercise. You got to get out and exercise. You got to move the body. You got to keep the joints moving, and you've got to keep the calories coming off. Whatever you're putting in, you got to put them off. And get down to a weight that's acceptable for your height and stature and everything else. Again, check your doctor. He'll tell you what that is. After exercise is a balanced diet. Don't have chips, and don't have sodas, and don't have chocolate bars. Cut the junk food out. Every once in a while to have a treat, okay. But don't do it every day. Don't drink 3 sodas in a day. Drink water. Lots of water. That's all I'm drinking is water. And I'll have a glass of milk. And I know people say milk is bad for you, but I like it with my peanut butter toast in the morning. So I'm going to have that. That's a little indulgence, if you will. If you have chronic conditions, manage them. If you've got diabetes or type 2 diabetes, that's controlled by diet and exercise. The other side of the coin, diabetes number 1, isn't that where you have insulin, or do I have it backwards? I think it's number 1. You need insulin, and you have to take that every day. You don't take that every day, and your body's going to fluctuate, and it's not going to be good for your health. Or if you have high blood pressure, take those pills every day until you lose some weight, and then you can come off those pills. Reduce stress. Stress is awful thing on your health. The more you're stressed, the more you're worried, the more anxiety you have, the harder it is on your body. Like, don't be overwhelmed by yourself, is a good way to put it. Don't be overwhelmed by yourself. You don't have to be. Whatever you don't get done today, especially if you're retired, it will happen tomorrow. And if you're not retired and you don't put those Christmas lights fully up today, then tomorrow, finish them off. A third type of stress is the loss of purpose. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you were working, you had purpose. You had to do certain chores or tasks to finish off what you're supposed to be doing. That's your work. When you retire, you don't have those tasks. You have to make those tasks so you don't lose purpose. And here's a couple ways to help that. Set new goals. Set new goals. Check every month. Write them down. I write down things. Write them down. Set a goal. I've set a goal for so much weight loss. I'm down 10 pounds, but I do it in 5-pound increments. Those are my goals. Right? I've got 20 more pounds I want to lose to get to that weight that I want to be. But I don't set it so I got to say, like, I've already lost 10, so I want to lose 20 more. So I want to lose 30 pounds. You don't do it overnight. And I'm losing 2 pounds a week roughly, which is perfect. It's slow, it's gradual. I haven't starved myself. I've treated myself to a couple of things. And it works well. So make it small goals. If you've lost purpose from work, maybe get a part-time job. Just a little job that'll help with the expenses that you might have. It'll give you a purpose to get up and go to wherever you want to work. That's the other beauty of the part-time job. You can do it in a field that you love doing. It doesn't have to be in the field you came from. To make plans. If you're going to do a trip, plan a trip. Now, what it does for me anyway, and I hope it does for most people, is if you're going to go on a trip 6 weeks from now, for 6 weeks, the anticipation is building. The plans are building. You plan where you're going to stay, what you're going to do. And that 6-week period is gone very quickly, just like your career in retirement. It goes by quickly. So those 6 weeks of anticipation and excitement and things that you're going to do wherever you're going, that gives you a sense of purpose each time. You can start a YouTube channel or write a blog online. Now, what does that do for you? Well, it gives you a daily routine. If you're blogging, you write out a blog and what you've done and what you thought that day. It's almost like a little diary, and you can share it with whoever you want. You don't have to make it public. You can just share it with your family through private links. But if you want to share it to the world, then you can put it to the world. That's the beauty of a blog. You can set it to private, and only ones that have that address can go and see it. On the other hand, YouTube, it can create passive income. I've made a little bit of passive income on this channel. Thank you for all my viewers. Let's say you like to do carpentry. Well, put up a camera and film it. It's not easy to do, but you can do it. And once you get the requirements, 4,000 hours and 1,000 subscribers, you can be monetized and make a little bit of passive income. You don't have to be a movie star to do this. Look, I mean, I'm not a movie star by any stretch of the imagination. You don't have to be. You just have to do it. And that's what they're talking about in terms of sense of purpose. Another one. Another stress, number 4, I think it is. Isolation or being lonely. At first you might love it because you're isolated. But eventually you'll start talking to yourself, and that's not good. You need people, family. You got to interact with people. I mean, that's what humans are built to do. So the way to combat the isolation is this. Stay connected. Phone your family and friends. Make a time and date. I'm going to phone you Friday night at 7 o'clock. Is that okay? And then make it. And again, it gives you a purpose to interact. Join community groups. Join a church group. Join groups where there's people involved. You'll find that even if you're shy, most people, if you go to a church or a group, like say a photography group, and let's say you love photography, you just by yourself, well, join a group. First online, and if they have a meeting or a coffee meetup, that's where you go and meet people. Move to an active 55 plus community, an adult community. We moved to that because that was more conducive to who we are now, not when we were 55. There's lots of activities. They have snooker every morning, their pool. We have 2 pool tables in our clubhouse. Every morning at 8 o'clock, if I wanted to play pool, I could be there. Every Saturday morning, they have coffee and donuts with the whole park, whoever shows up. And they have raffles and everything else. There's card games, there's exercise groups. There's exercise groups for the pool. There's lots of things to do. And we've met a lot of people. An adult community will take that loneliness away from you. Another way to break the isolation is to adopt a pet. If I encourage adoption, rescue a dog. If and only if you're prepared to take care of that dog for the rest of its life. And if your life goes before the dog, have plans for the dog to go to somebody. That's the only way I recommend you taking an animal in or adopting a pet, is if you can provide for it, love it, and depending on who passes away first, you or the dog, you have some place to take those dogs. It's not right to adopt some pet and not look after it. I'm very passionate about that. If you can't do it, please don't. If you're not committed to it, don't. But they are the best companions ever. Every time I walk in that door, we have 2 rescues. Both are 5 years old. And every time we walk in that door, one has a bone in its mouth, a little rubber bone, wants to play with me, and their tails are doing this. It's fantastic. Okay, the next one. Boredom. Boredom is a stress. Boredom is a stress. And it's more than just boredom. If you get bored and you're sitting in your lounger and you got the big easy chair and your butt fits in there, I wanted to say the A word. If your butt fits in there and you're sitting there watching TV all the time, not good. Not good at all. Because you go back to your health issues again. You're going to gain weight. You're bored. You got to do something. Okay, now how to fix the boredom? And I've said this in other videos. Have a kind of a loose schedule. You know, like you got to have a schedule to get you out of the funk of sitting in a chair and eating Cheetos. Because after a while sitting in that chair and you go, I've seen that show, I've seen that show, I've seen that movie. Now what, right? You've done it all. Now you're bored. I don't want to watch TV all the time. When you watch TV and you know the lines of all the actors, you've been watching too much TV. Take a course. This will help break up the boredom. Take a course. Take a course in playing piano, playing guitar. Take a course in real estate. Maybe you might want to sell real estate passively. Not passively, but maybe you want to sell real estate. Get a commission every once in a while. Set up your own little shop. That'll help with the finances, right? Adventure. Travel and adventure are key. For me, it is. I don't mind staying at home when the weather's bad. When it's nice, I want to get out. I want to go explore. I want to see things that are in my area because we're in a new city. There's a lot of things to see. And I'm going to be exploring them, like this park. I did a video on this park. It's not going to be on this channel. I have another YouTube channel that I started 5-6 years ago. And that YouTube channel is just everything that I like to do. Photography, exploring, abandoned buildings, teaching people things with cameras, photography, everything I do. My very first video was a joke. And I had a chicken hat on my head. So if I can start doing it, so can you. But do something. Host events. If you're bored, host an event. Like our clubhouse in our park, in our adult living park, hosts Christmas, New Year's, Easter, St. Patty's Day. I'm actually they used to host the Super Bowl, and I'm going to put that on. This year I'm going to be hosting the Super Bowl at the clubhouse, where we have a TV and lots of seats, and we'll have appetizers, and I'll make chili or something. Hosting something, I've got to prepare. Like once Christmas season's over here, I will start preparing for the Super Bowl party. And it's just a place to gather and have a couple of drinks, maybe have a raffle for everybody, and it gives you something to do. So host something. Try a hobby that you haven't done. Let's say you might want to whittle. Well, whittling's dirt cheap. You find a stick somewhere and you start with a knife. Get a good knife and try whittling. It's just an example. It's not this. It's just one that I pulled off the top of my head. But try something different. And whittling is relaxing. Just be careful not to cut the hands. Another stressor, number 6, I think it is, family dynamics change. Once you've retired, family comes back. Or you have to host some family because they've got problems. Or, sometimes you have to come together as a family. And that might change your dynamics a little bit and stress you out. All of a sudden, you've got your daughter who is getting divorced and their 3 kids living with you just to help them through. So the dynamics change. That adds stress. So here's how we fix that. Set boundaries when the kids come home. Set rules. This is what we do. You have to work around us. I know it's almost a form of tough love, but you have to have those rules for your sanity. Otherwise, you're going to get stressed out. I'm not saying don't help your daughter and your grandkids out or look after them or whatever, but you might be babysitting them if they're young enough. That changes your whole retirement plan, doesn't it? It does. I'm not saying for the good or the bad. I'm just saying that's the reality. Your family now changes. So set rules. When the family comes back, or whatever the family dynamics are, practice self-care. Don't forget about your health. You got to look after your health. If you go walking every morning for an hour, don't change that. If that's part of your routine to exercise, don't change that. You might want to change the time. Don't give up that exercise. Don't give up looking after yourself. Budgeting. Of course, you're going to have more expenses, right? You're going to have a lot more expenses with 4 more people in the house. So your food's going to go up. Your water usage is going to go up. Your heating might go up because they might be cold all the time or whatever. But your consumption of fuel will go up. Your time will be used. So you really have to really budget for that extra expense. The end game isn't to live with mom and dad till the end. It's to help her, a step up, not a handout. And the last one for this section of family dynamics, take a break. Take a break. You and your wife take a break. Get away from it. If you can go away for a weekend, go away for a weekend. This is all about you and controlling stress. And if they're starting to get to you, take a break. Take a day off. Usually on the weekends, but it's a day off because mom's home from work or whatever. But take a break. Again, self-care. And we'll get to this last one, which I think will surprise you. And number 7 is the decline of your mental faculties and your physical limitations, right? Your mobility and your independence. That's stressful. Somebody takes those car keys away from me, I'm going to be stressed. That's my freedom. However, sometimes as you age, you're going to get those stresses. Reality is going to be that you have a bum leg. You can't get around like you used to. So here's some ways to knock those stresses down. Number 1, first of all, and it's the hardest one, is admit that you need help. Admit that your mobility is not there, your mental faculties are leaving you. Admit it. That will take a lot of stress off those shoulders. Your life changes, so you have to adapt. Don't be scared to get mobility devices. Canes, walkers, wheelchairs, whatever you need. I guess what I'm saying is don't give up. There's always a way. It might be a little slower, but there's always a way. And if you keep a positive attitude, that'll help you move along in life and still have a functioning brain and body. Your body's breaking down, but the brain isn't. Once you've accepted it, that's a big thing. Get those aids that you need. Maybe it'd be hearing aids. There's pluses and minuses to hearing aids, right? You can turn them off. Just saying. Physical therapy. Get the physical therapy that you might need. Maybe whatever you're going through is a temporary thing. Maybe you need a knee replacement. So you get your knee replaced or your hip, and now it's just a matter of getting that physical movement back in the knee and the hip. And then you got your mobility back. Stay active. That'll help with your mobility. It really will. Go for a walk. Doesn't have to be a long walk. Again, set little goals. Okay, I'm going to make it once around our park and then home. And do that for a week. And then go, okay, I'm going to go outside the park, down the street a little bit, and then come around once the park. Just extend it a little bit each time. Transportation. You might not have ability to drive a car, but there are things like Uber and medical assisted vans that help you move, right? There's all the kinds of those things. Use them. It'll take the stress away knowing that, okay, I'm going to the store tomorrow, 10 o'clock, the guy's picking me up, I'll go, I'll get one of those power carts, and then make fun with the power cart. I'm going to go shopping in one of those electric carts, and I'm going to fill my basket, and then I'm going to come out. Make it fun. Don't make it a chore. So those are the little tricks to relieve the stress. And when you have stress that's gone, life is so much better. It really is. And with that, check out this video or that video, and we're going to call this one done.